Was there a dedication ceremony?
There was not, though. That's not a bad idea. All right, so I know that you are all really excited to hear me talk for an hour, but that I'm going to disappoint you. I'm actually going to turn the time over to Paula, who's going to do most of it. I think there are a couple of points that that our director, Neil, wherever he's sitting, ready to go, is going to make. If you have questions as we go through, please raise your hand. This is meant to be an interactive sort of training. We've got a fair amount of stuff to get through. Some of it's going to be review. Some of it is going to be distant review, like if you did your level 3 certification a while ago, but you haven't scanned recently, then I think there will be a good refresher for all of that. So I'm going to shut up and let Paula start talking.
Hey Paula, are you going to talk about that fine new logo and the shirts?
Actually, no. That was one of my question mark things, and I forgot to address it. Sorry. But if you want to talk about the shirts before.
Well, we do have a limited quantity right now of MRI research facility shirts available with that.
Grayson has it on.
Yeah, Grayson, do you want to model it for us? It's got a nice DTI image on the back.
And the model, the model for the DTI is Tracy. Tracy's
So let us know.
Yeah, we do.
Free for PIs. Actually, we've got I think the first batch we're going to distribute to people who are heavily involved in the research, including your students. So come on by if they want them. Limited while supplies last. We'd like to get a lot of people around campus wearing these. So gift from the MRI facility.
There you go. Thanks. All right. So I want to make sure everybody's signed in, right? You all signed in? We want to thank you for your participation, your part in helping the MRI research facility grow. I'm just kind of curious. I was trying to look back and find stats, but it was too much work, so I stopped doing it. But so by raising hands, how many of you guys did MRI scans when we were first opened in 2013? Any research? All right, good. What about 2014? Okay, how many of you been involved in research either 2015 or plan on doing research? That's pretty much all of you, right? Did you see how the numbers got greater? So how many of you are level 3? Which, I don't know, when did you start even doing level 3? Was that last year? Right away? Okay. So how many were level 3, right, like in 2013? All right, 2013? What about 2014? Okay, what about 2015? Okay. Can you get a sense? You get a sense for how kind of the traffic at the facility has gotten greater? But the problem is, I mean, it's not a problem. So we're experiencing a few growing pains, and that's that we're getting a little bit complacent and a little bit forgetful about some of the policies and some of the procedures, and we're getting a little bit disordered. And so one of the purposes of today's meeting is not only to help you review everything, but to make sure we're all on the same page when we're talking about policies and procedures, and that will help keep the facility safe and orderly. So, what we're going to do today is talk about policies, procedures, instructions, and I threw in safety at the last minute because we probably ought to do that, right? So this is your PPI for this the year. So let's first talk about policies. First and always, we want to make sure that you're always wearing your badge. You must wear it all times when you're in the facility. And the assistants, the undergrad assistants have been instructed to stop even the most respected of you professors to ask you where your badge is. Okay?
Yeah, so I totally was just in a huge hurry. And hey, can you click us in? I totally forgot my badge today. I think they did too.
Where are they?
I just left my badge at home. I swear I won't.
Swear to me!
Oh my gosh, I swear. I won't forget my badge again.
You better.
I haven't seen that before.
Okay. The other thing is that some of you may or may not be aware of is that everybody who walks into the magnet room has to be screened, and that includes research assistants. So it's become a policy now that at the time that we do level 1 training, we have everybody fill out a screen form, but most of you have missed that opportunity. And so if you haven't filled out a screen form between in the last 12 months, we actually brought some with us so that you can have them when we have them on file. And we'll look over those and make sure that everybody's safe to go into the scan room. That way we can say that everybody that walks into our scan room has been screened, right? And also along those lines, it really helps if you pre-screen your participants.
Hello, how can I help you?
Hi, I'm here for that MRI study.
Oh, do you know which one?
I don't know, I just know I'm scheduled for an MRI at this time.
Okay, well, you can have a seat and I'll get you a screening form. There you go. And here's a pen.
Thank you.
Oh, thank you.
You're welcome.
Your participant is ready. Okay. He'll be right in.
Okay.
Here's our screening form.
No, thank you. So I see you checked yes under the box saying you have a cochlear implant. Is that true?
Yeah, is that gonna be a problem?
Yeah, that's a device that if you have it, we can't scan you.
Okay, so what were in that video, what were some of the main points that you noticed that you should always remember to do? Knut.
Grayson actually looked at the screening sheet to make sure that it was good.
Yeah. Yeah. And I don't know if you noticed, but Ashley took the time to look at every item and check it off. She didn't just draw a line straight. You need to make sure everybody looks at every single item and checks them off. The level 3 needs to check. When she first walked in, and we see this a lot in our reception area, somebody will walk in and say, I'm here for that study. Everybody's here for that study. Which study? So you might want to help your participants know when they check in what they're checking in for, so we know whether we need to give them a screen form or who to talk to, or if they're even in the right place. Okay. Anything else that you noticed about that video that is a good practice?
The participant didn't flip out when she wasn't allowed to.
Oh yeah.
That's because we were paying her.
Yeah. Yeah.
She's not getting paid anymore.
Yeah. Good. Anything else? Okay. Sorry. One of the things that's new, we implemented this in February. You might remember that email that we sent out saying, do your HIPAA or we're going to cut you off, which we didn't do. You may or may not have noticed. But you need, on the city training website, there is a module called Health Privacy Information Training and then there's some for researchers, one for students, and one for faculty. And we ask that each one of you complete that, and we have a list of who hasn't completed, and it's by PI and everybody in your group, so you'll know who has not completed it. And if you can help us get those people who haven't completed it, get your students on that. But note that is not the same thing as the regular IRB stuff. So this is in addition to the regular IRB basic training, there's a health privacy information module. So we ask that you complete that if you haven't already done so, and then have that, send us the completion certificate.
Well, you have to have done this to get IRB approval.
Right.
So the IRB request is your city certificate.
Well, the city certificate, but the health privacy information module is not part of the
No,
IRB.
right, so you have,
Yeah.
you have to do this particular
Oh
one.
yeah, in addition, thank you.
What if I scan wraps and or concrete and don't span humans.
Yeah, we still actually can sleep.
How come?
Let me correct that to one of the directors. I forgot what we said that we.
Because you still have
We
access
still
to
have
all
access,
that.
that's right. We still have access to it.
Yeah, it's all saved right there on the scanner, so you can flip it through everybody else's scans.
Right.
By the way, this isn't just us. Anybody who's been anywhere near any medical office knows that we're pretty minimal on the training, but we do want people to go through the training.
So what that looks like in our facility is that you're doing things like keeping the screen forms. I found a stack laying around the other day, so don't forget to keep your screen forms. File them away in the lock cabinet. When you're done with them, I keep it upside down next to me at the console when I'm done using it. So just keep that information private, and avoid going into the console room if you don't have to, especially when there's another group in there doing a scan.
Wow, dude. Do you know who's in the scanner right now? Their parietal lobes are super messed up.
So yeah, avoid being in there if you don't need to be in there. Certainly don't look at the personal information when you do go. All right.
This is
So,
for training.
And as you well know, that we require everybody, that even everybody who uses a facility to complete safety renewal annually. The good news is that if your name is on that sign-in sheet over there, that means that you are now good for the next year. Y'all good, so everybody's got their name on the sign-in sheet, right? Okay. All right. So there's files on the scanner computer. As you know, you do your scan, the files show up on the scanner computer, and then you send it over to Syracuse. That scanner computer is going to get wiped of files that are 2 weeks old every so often, ideally every 2 weeks. From the day that we do it, we'll look back 2 weeks and start getting rid of files that are older than that. This is your notice. We sent out an email last week saying that we were gonna wipe that computer. You need to make sure you back up your data. We will not send out an email anymore. This is your notice.
So I just want to clarify on that a little bit too. Sometimes things happen, the scanner happens, the Siemens people come out and data ends up getting wiped. So grab your data after your scan. We try and keep it around for 2 weeks, but there is absolutely no guarantee that it will be around for 2 weeks. So you guys are responsible for getting your data off after the scan. Please don't plug thumb drives directly into the scanner computer, as they can have viruses that cost a lot of money when Siemens has to come in and fix them.
Well, I was just going to say, it's just good practice to have an external hard drive plugged into Syracuse when you push the data, download it, and then go away with it. And don't trust that your data is going to be there for 2 weeks.
Yeah, so you can plug external drives into Syracuse, which is the ones back away from the window, but not into the actual scanner computer.
Yeah. Tracy?
We went to, or Dr. Bigler went to a Sensi conference, and they mentioned that it's possible to actually work with the raw data, not DICOM data, but actually data right from the scanner. Is it possible to get permission to, in certain cases, get the raw data so that we can potentially process that?
Absolutely, and we can show you how to SSH to Syracuse and things like that. I've got 5 or 6 students in my group who always work with raw data, so if some of you guys need training in getting the actual raw data feeds, then we'll train you on that. Then we'll give you exceptions to be able to access that machine.
But that's going to go to Syracuse, and then you never plug into the console computer. Always take the data.
Well,
over there.
we do have some clean drives we can use for that.
Okay.
I mean, we have some that we know are non-virus ridden. So.
Me too.
Anyway, there was some, we're finding that going from scanner to scanner, there's a lot of things that different vendors do as far as post-processing, before you actually get the DICOM data that sometimes you do or don't want.
Absolutely. We love raw data and we'll help you get it.
All right, so level 2 and level 3 requests need to come through the PIs. I've had a lot of students come to me just individually and say, I want to get my level 2 or level 3. And that request needs to come from you guys. If you want your student to be level 2 or level 3, then you need to request it. And there's an online form. Oh shoot, I didn't log in, but there's an online form on our website at mri.byu.edu. And we've got new badges coming. There's 3 of us that have them right now. These badges can actually go into the scan room and unlock the doors. So you won't be locking yourself out of the scan room, of the console room because you laid it down somewhere and then you had to run out to get something and you forgot it. You can always have the badge on. The thing is though, is as we replace the existing system and move to these proximity badges, that we are going to charge the PI for that, and maybe that will help you really choose wisely who you want for your level 2 and your level 3s. Any comments or questions on that?
Will our other IDs still work on the scan in, scan out?
What do you decide? I forgot about that.
Yes, like as we transition.
As we transition, yeah.
And you'll cut them off and have just the badges work?
Eventually, once we get the badges out to everybody. Yeah.
So, there you go. But we will charge you accounts for them, so be careful of who you send to us. Yeah.
Can you actually take them into the MRI?
Oh yeah.
Really?
Yeah, I put mine into ISO Center just to check.
They do still have a magnetic strip on the back, but that magnetic strip doesn't do anything. They've got an RFID in them, which is not affected by the magnetic field.
Okay.
So don't try and use them to swipe after that.
I'm sure you all know this, but it's probably best practices not to select an undergraduate student. I'm not prejudiced against undergraduate students to be a level 3 user because they come and go, as you know. So you don't want to be charged for all these badges, sorry. But it's just better to use students that you know are going to be around for the long haul.
That could be undergrads that have committed to a master's program.
Yeah, and that's fine too, right? But generally, I would think more in terms of the graduate student level for those.
I think you're all aware that our cancellation policy is that if you cancel within 48 hours of the scan time, your account will be charged. There's 2 exceptions to that. When you do cancel, you'll remove your scan from the calendar, but the charge doesn't go away, and if you get an alert that says that much. But if somebody comes out on the calendar and schedules over you, then you have been released of that financial obligation. The other incident when you won't get charged is if the scanner malfunctions and you're unable to complete your scans. In that case, you need to let one of the associates, Grayson or myself, or Helen on, know, or Chris and Leanne, know if that happens, so that we can address it. Okay?
Does everybody understand the rationale for this? If you've looked at the scanner schedule over the last few weeks, you understand why we put this policy in place. Because you have people blocking out huge sections of time, 4 days a week now for long studies, and that's an inconvenience for everybody else. If they're blocking that off, you can't schedule subjects and then they cancel the day before. So
We should have some sort of trading system, some place where people can go say, hey, I need to give up my scan time. Some exchange. Scan time stock exchange.
a lot of places I've been, there's an automatic email that goes out whenever scan time is canceled in the last 24 hours or 48 hours, whatever this time is. An email goes out to all the registered level 3 users saying, hey, this scan time is now available. we could talk. We'll think about implementing that. I don't know how hard that is.
Okay.
Would you guys like to get those? Okay. Apparently, if we design it, it needs to be an opt-in.
All right. When you do schedule your scans, you want to make sure that you have at least your level 3 operator ready to do that. You can't just schedule it and count on somebody to be there to scan, unless one of the associates has been assigned to your study. And we highly recommend, that there are 2 people there in case of emergency. And if you feel like you can manage with one person, I'll let you work that out with one of the directors.
Can I say one comment? I'm sorry
Sure.
to keep in. This
No,
is the first time
please.
we've gone through this, so I may have a lot of commentary. All of us may have a lot of commentary. When it says do not count on the associates, unless you have prior arrangement where you're collaborating with one of us or you've asked, and the associates are not there to do scans. We do not have scan technicians that include it. That $200 an hour is actually, I've never heard of anywhere that charges less than $400 or $450 an hour. And typically, if it's as cheap as $400 an hour, it typically doesn't include an operator. Most scan facilities charge between $600 and $900 an hour when there's actually a scan technician there to run it. So this is not unusual. We've had a couple of people get bent out of shape and say, I'm paying $200 for scan time, and you're not going to provide me with a PhD level trained technician to run my scans and analyze my data? And I hope that seems as preposterous to all of you as it does to me. So.
Great. All right, so those were the policies that we want to review. Let's talk about procedures. Now, first one is about scheduling the magnet and exam rooms. First of all, currently only level 3 people have access to the magnet schedule, because theoretically, if they're the one that has to do the scan, then it works that they're the one doing the schedule. If you need somebody else associated with your project, make sure that you get that taken care of. I'll find one of the directors or one of the associates. Anyone who's logged in to their account can view the calendar, but only the level 3s can schedule the magnet. And I have a scheduling demo, except for I didn't bring up the website beforehand. I'd rather skip this. Is that okay? Do y'all of you know how to go to the calendar and schedule? Tracy?
Apostrophes and periods don't work very well with scheduling.
Okay. Oh, you mean like?
When you try to put it in and you have for a description and you put in an apostrophe or a period, it won't let you schedule it.
Okay. Just
Don't use
usually.
those characters.
Yeah. Noted. Don't be on the driving.
Bad grammar.
Yeah. All right. Addressing scanner errors. So, if you get a scanner error, alert one of the associates. Don't contact Siemens. We have the number and the relationship, and if we need to contact them, we will. And if we need to pull in the directors, we will. But once you give it to us, we'll take care of it. Okay? Yes, please.
What if it's on a Saturday?
Yeah.
No associates there.
So I understand that one of our directors knows the phone number by heart, and when he sees that on his screen, he will answer your phone.
It's
And
actually in my contacts, so it shows up as console room.
yeah. And I've been known to. I live less than 5 minutes away from the facility, and I've been known to come running down on a Saturday. So,
And when Hanan gets back, often he's just
he
living
just lives
there.
there. Yeah. So there's a contact list hanging on the wall next to the quench button, so you can go through that list of people.
Don't hit the quench button.
Don't hit the quench button. Okay. So here are the procedures. Have you all saved a error log before? Do you know how to save an error log? Okay. Here's the procedure for saving an error log. We have a little sticky note on the monitor. Somebody has even decorated it for us. How does it actually, what we've done is we've created now a binder that sits next to the console computer that for procedures like this one. And in fact, we've got our contact list in there in case you can't see it on the wall. We've got the start up and shut down and the QA check. And you can even see under login errors, here's the sticky note.
This is why our scan time is $200.
Yeah.
So part of the reason for not just immediately contacting Siemens is, say you get an error, say something happens and you're scanning, you need to get it fixed, and so you want to give Siemens service a call to get it fixed. That's understandable, and we want to do that. But if it comes through one of us, then we know that we had the same error yesterday and the day before, or something like that. That this is part of an ongoing problem. You're not going to know that. But we will, and we'll be able to communicate that to Siemens that, oh, hey, this is part of an ongoing problem. Maybe you need to send the service engineer out to actually take a look at it rather than telling us to just restart, which is their go-to thing because it's a Windows platform. I'm not lying.
All right, so care and handling of your data. You all know that you send your files to Syracuse, but you should make sure you know that that's not your permanent storage. We expect you to bring in your whatever device to get the data off of Syracuse and have it backed up somewhere else. That computer actually went down a couple weeks ago, and I think most people had what they needed, thankfully. Okay, and be mindful of your export settings. And I apologize. One of the things I forgot to do was put in a screenshot. When you export your data, there's a menu there, and you just need to make sure that you've got the right item selected on the menu. What's the main one? The hierarchy.
Oh yeah, the file hierarchy.
Anyway, just be mindful when you export that you have the settings that you need set correctly. Okay. Setting up tasks. If you're doing an fMRI, we have a task computer, and it's connected to a monitor that sits at the head of the scanner. You can store your tasks on the desktop of that computer, but make sure that you clean those off when you're done with them.
Like done with the study.
Done with the study, yeah, not every time. So when you're done, when your study is complete, you can please remember to take those off. The task monitor sits at the head of the scanner, and it needs to always stay at the head of the scanner unless you have like a special coil that sticks out the other end when it goes in. That's the only case I can think of. Please don't move that monitor. And while we're on that, please avoid stepping on the cables around that monitor because that can cause problems, and it has in fact. And don't forget, this is one of the worst violations that we have, is that that monitor often gets left on and uncovered. So please remember to turn it off and cover it up when you're done with it.
So part of the reason for not moving the monitor is that we now have an eye tracker that's mounted on the bottom of the stand for that monitor, and it's dialed in right now so that if your subject goes into ISO center, then their eye is in the exact right place, as long as that camera stays in the right place. If the monitor and consequently the camera moves around, then you're going to be wasting time, or people who come to need to use the eye tracker are going to be wasting time dialing that back in if you're moving the monitor around.
Alright, so storing your files and your supplies, and by files I mean your hard copy stuff. We actually do have temporary storage. We have some locked filing cabinets, and we have some supply shelves that are available to you. And by supplies I mean the stuff you need at the facility, not just your general junk that you don't have room for. And you can see one of the assistants or one of the associates, and we have a sign-out sheet where we can assign you a space for the time that you need it. We do reserve the right, if we need the space, to ask you to move it, though. So, following Dr. Rendell, please remember to keep things orderly. So, please remember to keep your space orderly because you get it. Okay. I'm gonna hand the clicker over to Dr. Bangalore so he can describe the accounting
I
how
thought
that's
it was
done.
fear.
I wanted to make you intimidating today, so I
Yeah.
switched.
You used my fat picture too.
Sorry.
So scanner billing, a lot of you guys have been awarded seed grants and things like that, but you don't yet have an account set up. We have to set those up manually, and just because you got awarded a seed grant does not mean that we automatically went in and set up an account for you. So how to set up an account? To set up an account, say email to mri@byu.edu with, hey, I'm a new PI, give your name, I received a seed grant, give any details that you can, although we can look it up. We'd like to start being able to schedule scans. Please set up my account. The MRIRF assistants, undergrads, Cassie, all of the assistants that are here stand up. Just Cassie. All right. Cassie, or someone similar to Cassie, but not Cassie, will intercept that. And we've got we have this whole scheduling database system. We have only a few people that know how to actually get in there and hack accounts and create accounts for you guys. But if you provide us with the information and the request to mri@byu.edu, then we will set up an account for you. Now, if you already have an existing account and you need another account, it's that procedure as well. If this is your first account request as a PI, we will actually set up 2 accounts for you when we get that request. The first one will be a pilot account. And when you go in, you'll be able to see when you go in to try and schedule after you've got accounts set up, when you go into the MRI web page and look at the calendar and try and schedule scans, you will have a little drop-down list box that lets you charge it to any of the accounts that you have listed that you control. Okay? So you will see after you have an account set up that you will also have a pilot account set up. Now, one more critical piece of information that we need in the email that you send is we need a backup account number. All right? The reason is people do sometimes spend more money than they have, say, in their seed grant account, and we need a place on campus to bill that. So, maybe it's your 20 account. Maybe you have approval to put your departmental account on there. We actually have some people who do that, and it works out fine. But we do need an account number, okay? That account number will also be attached to this pilot account. Now let me talk a little bit about pilot accounts. Every PI is entitled to up to 5 hours of scan time a month of what we call protocol debugging time and testing time. If it's something that's if it's a person that's going to go in a paper, don't use this and say, oh, I've got 5 free hours of scan time to run 5 of my fMRI studies every month on. Absolutely not true. That account is solely for, we've never run our protocol before. We need to do a dry run on people before we start acquiring data, or we're debugging our protocol and we need to do it a few times, okay? That is a totally appropriate use of your pilot time. Again, protocol setup and you're acquiring data that's going to go into a paper or a grant proposal or something like that, not debugging, totally inappropriate to charge that to those 5 hours that we give you. Please help us on this. Now, $200 an hour, again, may seem like a lot. It's not. Again, usually places are at least $400 to $700 an hour without a scan technician. I think we've made it clear that we do not analyze data for people. That's very, very usually PhD level work and absolutely not included. But the $200 an hour, to give you an idea of the cost of running a facility, our total, we have a $130,000 a year support and maintenance contract from Siemens that we are pretty much required to have. As a research site, we can burn through gradient amplifiers and things like this more quickly. I mean, we run our scanner a lot harder than most clinical places do. Clinical places have to pay for these too. They pay even more because they want, 24-hour turnaround time or, no more than 2 hours of dead time or things like this. Again, we pay for the bare bones support and maintenance contract, $130,000 a year. And then, of course, we pay the graduate student associates and assistants in order to help run the facility. But as you can imagine, $200 an hour in scan time barely begins to cover our operating budget of about $250,000 a year. This includes also, periodic acquisitions of coils and things like this, other repairs, the computers that you guys can use, like Syracusa, the RAID drives for helping us back up absolutely key stuff, and also things like supplies and gloves and cleaning and things like this, and all of the linens that you use. So please remember that we're actually getting a phenomenally good deal on this, and do your part to make sure that you're being fair to the facility and to the university in terms of what you're charging to your pilot accounts. Now, the way the billing process works, so again, when you set up an account, just send mri@byu.edu an email with your name, preferably the name of the study, although we can look it up. If you know that you have some seed grant accounts, put that number in there, although again, we can look that up, and then give us an account on campus that we can use to bill any overages. And we'll also attach, typically the first time you set that up, the pilot account overages will be attached to your whatever billing account you provide us with as well. Billing is done once a month. It's typically done on the 1st or the 2nd. I mean, as soon as the month ends, we have one of the MRIRF assistants go through and audit all of the billing. The way that works is any scan time that was billed to your various accounts for that month, an invoice is generated in PDF format. The assistants will then email that out to you. Usually that's just an FYI. If you have provided us with an account number, and we're starting to enforce this, we have a couple of early accounts that we didn't get account numbers, and we're having to track down accounts now for overages. So we're hoping that doesn't happen in the future. But you'll get that PDF as an FYI. We send all of the PDF invoices at the beginning of each month to one of the accountants in FHSS who is helping to administer the finances of the MRIRF, and then he will do journal entry transfers from whatever accounts you give us for the amount of money that you spent. Now, if you have seed grant funds that were awarded particularly for scanning, that will show up as a balance on your account, and you will not be billed for that. You will never be billed for anything on your seed account. No journal entry will ever take place into your accounts, or out of your accounts, I should say, for anything that's against your seed grant balance. And when you schedule scan time, you'll see your seed grant balance decrease. And again, when you go in and schedule to an account, you can look at the balance and things like that.
That is up to the amount that you were awarded, right?
Up to the amount yes, sorry. If you scan more than the amount you were awarded, then we need to have a place to pay that. We keep the seed grant funds in a separate account, but the college preferred, the accountants preferred that we keep that money in a central location, and then we do get paid for the scans, but it comes out of the seed grant big account rather than making all of those transfers to individual PI accounts. The problem is that if we made all those transfers to individual PI accounts, we really do want that money to be available for scan time. A lot of you, experience shows, will not end up using all of your scan time, and rather than have that money disappear and become uncolored in your 20 account, as appealing as that is to us individually as investigators, we'd like to be able to allocate that to people who are going to scan. So
is there an expiration date? Like, does it have to be used by?
Well, so your seed grants come with a 1-year expiration date, but we are very, very keen and interested, and we understand right now that there are startup costs and difficulties associated with everybody getting scanning. And training is a big deal for all of you guys right now. So please, all of you who have seed grant accounts who haven't been able to get set up yet, don't get panicked. We want to get you scanning and everything like that. But at this point, I can say that we are going to be more than happy to extend the availability of your seed grant funds beyond April if you're, we don't want you suddenly next April saying, I need to get going. But if you're trying to engage, you're trying to get students trained, you're trying to get your study protocol designed, everything like that, we're not going to have a problem extending this round of seed grants. So.
And I know you did this for me, but there's some monies that I get that have an expiration date. And I found that if I transfer them like down here to an account, then all of a sudden you become carryover for me.
Absolutely.
Yes.
We are happy to assist you, and I won't call it money laundering, but I will call it, we are happy for you guys to pre-purchase scan time. So the same mechanism that we use to keep track of the seed grant accounts, and we'll set you up an account and give it a balance of $7,000 that you can spend down without getting billed. If you want to send, verification of a transfer, you can request for us. We'll give you the MRI facility account number. If you want to transfer a few $1,000s in or $5,000 into our account, then we will happily set up and basically consider that spent from your department or whatever, but we will credit an account for whatever you prepaid.
It's like a calling card.
Yeah. Maybe someday we'll look into giving slight discounts if people want to pre-vote. But that's not currently available. Good. Any other questions on the billing process? We've done a homegrown system on all of this. We've had over the past few years students in my group who have actually done all of the kind of database backend and everything on this. The system is not perfect, so we would appreciate it if you guys, if you encounter bugs or things that could be done better, an email to mri@byu.edu just saying, maybe give it a subject line of, bug in scheduling system, something that makes it obvious, and we can give those over to our guys and try and gradually improve the system as we go on. Good, thanks.
So near the end of the meeting, Cassie has a bunch of spreadsheets, one for each of the PIs. In addition to the members of your group who use the facility, we need you to update that. We also have the account information that we currently have for you, so you know what we have and you know what we need. So if you can provide that for us today, that'd be great. Okay, so I mentioned that the request for training for your students for level 2 or level 3 needs to come from the PPI. Note that there are specific level 3 requirements. As Dr. Wisco mentioned, that we generally prefer to have it be graduate students and faculty, and if you have an undergrad that you want, I'll let you work that out with the directors to get that initiated. We require at least 10 hours of shadowing. At least most people end up doing more. So you just look on the calendar, have your student look on the calendar and work out with somebody who's scanning if they can come and shadow. And eventually we go from them watching us do the scans to us watching them and make sure they're doing it correctly. There also is a CPR and first aid requirement, and note that this is not just any CPR class, this is CPR professional skills, I think is what it's called. Those are available through risk management if you want to do those. Yeah. So those things have to be done beforehand, yeah.
The request must come from the PI. I just wanted to request your patience on this. It's really annoying to the directors when we get emails from students that say, hi, I need to get certified at the MRI facility. Can you hold my hand in doing this? It's not that we don't love students, but throwing that directly onto the directorship, we have no idea often what group these students are coming from. We have no idea what the plan is. We prefer those communications to be PI to PI, faculty member to faculty member initially. Again, it's not that we dislike talking to students, but as you can see how many faculty members are in here, If we extend that to all of your students contacting us directly, it becomes annoying to us. So please try and keep, when arranging things with the directors on your study on who's going to be level 3, let's try and keep it PI to PI.
So there's a form online, and in the interest of time, I'm not going to go there. But if you go to MRI@byu.edu and look under training, there is a menu item that says request level 2 or level 3 access. And once you fill in that form, it goes to the MRI facility email, which then gets directed to the directors. Okay, seeing with the fat lady. So when you're done with your scan, you're not really done when your scan is done. Just so you know, it's not over yet till the fat lady seniors. Please remember to disinfect all the surfaces. And one of the areas that tends to get forgotten is the inside of the mask where everybody's breathing. The knee bolster, which typically is not protected by anything. Please remember to turn all items. We put labels on everything, so now everybody knows where everything should go. So there's a label for everything, head coils, the bolsters, the blankets, all that is labeled for you. And just as a side note, make sure that you, when you store the headphones, have them uncovered. Because if they are covered, we never know if those are used covers or unused covers. So just, I know you're thinking you're doing us a favor by putting clean covers on, but then we're probably just going to take them off and throw them away because we don't know if they're clean or not. So store them uncovered. That's it for procedures. Let's talk about instructions. Just really quick one, room 147, which is just down the hall from us, in fact, just several feet away from our front door. You may use that scheduled for meetings related to your study. And there are computers in there that are available for data analysis. Just it's a keypad entry, so you can ask one of the associates or one of the assistants to give you access to that. They'll let you in. And remember to close the door when you leave. A lot of people forget and leave it open. And there's a lot of computers in there. We don't want those just available.
A lot of time was spent getting it set up.
Yeah.
Yes, thank you, guys.
Tracy set those up. That bank of, there's a lot of computers and there's a lot of programs.
A lot of software.
A lot of software. So, yeah.
University is heavily supporting the lab with it.
Yeah. Sheets. So we get our sheets laundered through BYU laundering, but we go through them awfully fast. So we ask that you try to be conservative as much as possible. Flip them when you can. Use one side and flip them. Alert the staff when the sheets are low, and by low I mean like you've got about 5-6 sheets left, not 2 sheets. Because we have to call on your services, and when they feel like it, they'll come down and bring us more sheets. So we need to make sure that we can get that call into early enough. Blankets, we have 3 of them that are MRI safe, and they are not laundered as frequently. So we ask that whenever you use a blanket, you use a sheet with it to protect the blanket and keep it cleaner. More sheets. These are actually the sheets that Cassie has. As I've said several times already now, Cassie has a sheet for each of UPIs. It has a list of all the people associated with your lab. Some of them are obsolete, and so we ask that you let us know if we can delete them so we can clean up our system and get rid of badges that are laying around in drawers. Also check your account information, as we mentioned earlier. And if you can, today, provide us with any information, missing account information. And then finally, safety. What is the one thing that you must always remember about the MRI facility? Just
And if it's not, we've got a problem.
Do you have any other questions? Jason?
Just more of a comment rather
Sure.
than a question. And it's probably better if it comes from one of the directors rather than me. But storing data in the computers in 147, just, there's no backup mechanism in place. You use it, great, but you may want to realize that it might get lost, so use with caution.
Yeah.
Generally true. We can't be responsible for everybody's data. You need to be responsible for your own data. So we've mentioned this a couple of times. Bring an external hard drive, back up your data early and often. We have, as Paula mentioned, Syracuse went down maybe a month or two ago, and we did lose some data in that. Most of it was still, fortunately, on the scanner, so we could push it again. But back up your data.
I'll just add, Costco has some great large external hard drives for under $100 right now on sale. They're nice and slim. You can carry them anywhere with you, and I suggest you use them.
Just not in the scanner.
Yeah, not the scanner. Magnet's always in.
Dr. McPherson?
I know our college, and I think it's through the university, I'll check on it, but they actually have our computers, I'm thinking of Syracuse, actually on a backup system. And it will, once a day, actually back that computer up. And so if something does happen, even if it was 6 months ago, it can be recalled.
Can I hit that? So our facility is secure. We will not allow since we deal with private health information on those computers, our facility is not connected to anything on campus. Do not ever, ever, ever count on your data being available. You should walk out with your data, sneaker net it out is the most secure way to get your data out of the facility. Now, that said, we have on Syracuse, we have I think 2 times redundancy RAID array that backs that thing up. Sorry, 1 time redundancy. So we have a redundant RAID array that backs up Syracuse. That backup is on a time machine backup that goes periodically. Grayson is in the process of researching, I think we're going to set up, it won't be huge or expensive, but we'll have basically a cloud server device within the facility though, so it'll be accessible via network to the computers in there. So we do make attempts to ensure that if any of our computers crash, that we have, particularly Syracuse, that there are backups. But the caveat is, do not count on it, and we are not responsible. You get that data, and you walk out with it is your guarantee of having your data after you are finished with the scan. And I mean, this is private, protected health information that we've got to be really careful with. Some people, we do have fat network connections, and some people are capable of SSHing over to another machine that's secure on campus. And if a PA wants to train their students to do that and SSH over and push data to a secure computer on their network, totally your business if you don't want to sneaker net it out. But again, I mean, I'm sure you guys can appreciate, we just can't be responsible, and we can't avail ourselves of the university backup systems without a nightmare related to encryption and all of this kind of stuff. So the MRI network is secure and completely isolated. You can do secure connections out to other computers, but again, as soon as you do that, what you're sending out there is at your own, your own risk in terms of liability and that kind of thing. So, no problem.
Dr. Jensen?
We often have groups that want to tour the MRI facility, like graduate students are applying for a program. Do you have any policy for how we should do that? Do you want us to notify the directors first before we do something like that?
Yeah, just let us know. Shoot us an email, and most likely one of us will come by and play tour guide.
The challenge becomes somebody maybe scanning during that hour, so should we try to work something out there? So,
You should
Yeah, so
schedule the scanner.
yeah.
And there is a tour, or there's an education.
Educational, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay,
But we can do that, so,
Yeah.
like, you can't schedule that, we can, so contact.
okay.
Yeah, so that's the purpose of just letting us know. We could even, you know, if we screen them, we might even pre-screen somebody and throw them in the scanner. Thanks for a great tour experience.
Probably interview.
Yeah. And I mean, the directors at our discretion will sometimes allow people in to do little demos with the paperclip bag and the things like that. So if you have one of us there, we can sometimes arrange that.
Yeah, we're more than happy to support courses as well. So if you want to do, you know, a tour of the MRI facility as part of your course, if you're teaching a behavioral neuroscience course or something like that, then let us know and we can help you out with that as well.
The more visibility we can get for this thing on campus, the better. We're highly supportive.
Yeah, we actually designed the control room to be about twice as big as a normal control room to accommodate courses and things like that. So it's, you know, and this is what we tell the administration all the time is that, you know, we use it for undergrad education. So please help us use it for undergrad education.
Hey, you guys, thank you everybody for coming, but before we go, I'd like all of our MRIRF staff, and particularly Paula for putting this all together and presenting to stand up. Let's give them a round of applause. Thank
Cassie has forms for you.
Cassie, you should come up this
Yeah.